the Nintendo Switch.
The 3DS is
PlayStation Vita.
the PSP Go.
Perfection.
Are you in the market for a handheld gaming device and hate shitty mobile games with touchscreen controls? This might just be your ultimate solution. Now, hold on. Before you dislike, hear me out. The PlayStation Portable was Sony's first step into the handheld market. It sold over 82 million units worldwide, has 5 iterations, and overall had a good run. But now that they're discontinued, it is really easy to get them for use for attractive prices. Right now on eBay, a PSP will run you anywhere from $40 to $80 depending on the model. Before we get started, I'd like to do a quick rundown of all the models. The first PSP, or the 1000 or Fat PSP, is the first Sony handheld. It was released in 2004, the same year as the DS. It's the fattest PSP model. You can recognize it by the fact that the speakers are located on the bottom, and the top has a grid-like texture, and it doesn't have TV output. The second model, the 2000 or Slim, was released in 2007 and provided a slimmer PSP. It added a TV output so you can play your games on the big screen. It also doubled the RAM to increase game performance. One thing to note about this model is the screen is known to have ghosting and interlacing issues. The next model, 3000 or Slim and Bright, was released the following year and is considered to be the best of all. More on that later. It fixed the screen issues and added SCAT functionality. Sony went through a transitional period as mobile gaming was becoming more and more popular, and in an attempt to capture the market, released the PSP Go. It featured a smaller 3.8-inch screen. The buttons slided out, making it more compact and in line with a smartphone. However, the biggest problem with the PSP Go was its price and the fact that it didn't play physical UMD games, which ultimately doomed the machine. It's great for using it solely with custom firmware, more on that later, but generally not recommended for people with big hands or those looking for a fully customizable PlayStation Portable. In a last-ditch effort, Sony released the Street in 2011, attempting to get a new audience with the cheaper price. It didn't bring anything new besides its interesting design, but rather cut the wireless and TV output capabilities of other PSPs to keep the price at $100. Needless to say, it didn't do very well. Now, why on earth should you get a PSP? It has the biggest game library of any handheld. The PSP can be modded very easily by flashing what's called custom firmware. This allows you to run emulators of any console up to the Nintendo 64, play both homebrew and official games by directly loading them in, and a lot more. This means that for under $100, you can get a handheld gaming device with a wide range of great PSP titles, native PlayStation 1 emulation, and emulate anything you want up until the N64. Now, there are some things to consider when buying a second-hand PSP, and that's mainly the battery. PSPs are known to have batteries that die early, and that can be an issue. Before this one, I had a 2000, which upon receiving in the mail couldn't hold a charge with or without a new battery. I opted to get a Street because I do feel it is more comfortable to hold due to its matte design, and as I do feel whether or not it has Wi-Fi doesn't matter in today's world. The PSP uses an outdated wireless standard, which requires your network to have WPA security and not WPA2/PSK. So, if you have an open network, it's fine, but you're not going to be able to connect to modern Wi-Fi networks. But if you were able to connect, you can no longer use Skype, and multiplayer games are empty these days. Do also note that the native PlayStation Store has closed, so it's no longer possible to buy and download games onto the system. So, should you go out and buy a PlayStation Portable? Definitely. I'd recommend going for either a 3000, PSP Go, or Street if you want the best PSP experience.